jungle. Who wants the smoke? I didn't think so. Use a joke, about to get your ankles broke. Chasing C notes. Chasing C notes. Welcome to the jungle. Who wants the smoke? I ain't think so. Use a joke, about to get your ankles broke. Chasing C notes. Dynasty.
Welcome to Chasing Podcast. I'm your co-host Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host Larry. What's good, Larry?
What's going on, man?
What is going on? This is episode number 25, and we're gonna talk about the NBA Finals preview. We're gonna have NBA news. We're gonna talk about the conference finals, and then we'll finish up with the finals matchup. So, Larry, before we get to the NBA news, overall, how are you feeling? I know we're recording this one day after your birthday, so how are you feeling?
I'm feeling older. I try to hang out with young kids all year long, so I don't feel the oldness creeping in, but it's definitely there. Can't move like I used to. Can't get on the basketball court like I used to, but definitely good to be a year older and to keep moving on in the right direction.
That's all it is. It's also just like, hey, you have life experience. How are you going to be able to share that with the world, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, it's all about, hey, you're happy you're getting 1 year older, but then you're sad because you can't do the same things that you used to do when you were younger. So, it's a catch-22, but anyways, happy birthday. Let's get to the NBA news, and let's start off with the whole Zion news about him being accused. Larry, I feel like we see that all the time with not just NBA players, but athletes overall. Now, I know that this is a very, very, fragile subject, but why is this happening? Why is this happening? Is it they just not mature? Is it just making the same mistakes? Tell me, why does this keep happening?
Relationships. We are the worst with building relationships, and if you do not create that relationship early on, you're going to create problems like this. And we've seen it in parents and kids and boyfriend and girlfriend, employee and employer. You have to build good relationships, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of give and pull and that sort of thing. And when you burn those bridges, everything is pretty much off limits. And we don't know the details of what happened, but obviously there was definitely a relationship breakdown for it to get to us. So something definitely happened where the communication wasn't clear, and now you risk losing a lot, endorsements, job, maybe even prison time, so it's not really good.
Yeah, I 100% agree because I used to, back in the day when I was in my 20s, I used to make fun of people that used to be like, oh, you guys together? Well, how long have you been together? Oh, we've been together since high school. Oh, we've been together since, the dawn of day. You're just like, whoa. But, in retrospect, this is how you build a relationship. This is how you get to know the person, and you get to know that, oh, is this person going to resolve any issues we have publicly or privately? And I feel like a lot of times you get into a relationship, especially these young guys who are athletes and have tons of money, you get in a relationship, you don't know this person. And this happens. This basically happens. Like you said, they couldn't work things out privately, so they took it publicly, or at least the accuser took it publicly. And let's be honest, things are not going to be the same for Zion going forward. Even if this gets settled out of court, it's already out there. It's already out there for us to judge and all that stuff. So going forward, I know that this is a life lesson to everyone out there going forward, get to know the person, get to know who you are going into a relationship with, because things like this can happen. Things like this will definitely happen. So it's kind of sad. Hopefully they can resolve this, but once it's out in the public, it's very hard to put the toothpaste back in the paste, right?
Definitely. Self-awareness is very important as well. You got to be aware of what you're doing, and don't have a bunch of yes people around you, because when you say certain things, we saw that with Ant-Man. We saw it with Diggs. We seen with AB. Just different things that you do. You have to be self-aware of what you're doing. And if you have a bunch of people around you saying, yes, good job, you don't really know the true picture. So self-awareness, he's probably done countless things, which he shouldn't have done. I just feel like overall, it's been a bust for him. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't stay in New Orleans to begin with, but I just think that overall from his hype, I mean, he almost had LeBron James type hype when he came out, let's see what happens with Flag. If Flag is going to have a better circle around him and see how he performs in the league. So, I mean, he's going to a better team already together at Dallas anyway, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Zion came with a lot of hype. He's shown flashes of like, he can be very dominant at certain games, but then like the injuries, like we just talked about, the off-field issues. It's just, man, this guy has a lot of growing up to do. Larry, the other thing I want to talk about, and I just saw this because it was all over Instagram, it was all over Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. But New York fans and the whole towns, making fun of towns. At first, I thought it was funny, but then I started thinking about this dude is on your team. So are they just being lovable New York fans, or is there malice underneath it? So what do you think?
Well, I don't know. You know, I do prize picks every now and then, just messing around, and they sent me a prize picks for Anthony Towns, and it says, "Do you want to get zesty?" And they actually had a zesty button, and they were giving us 0.5 points for Towns. If he makes 1 point, you win. And I'm just like, okay, this is getting too far. I've seen the clips of him being extra zesty, and everyone knows all the ones that he says. And we don't know the real deal. We know he's dating somebody, but it's starting to get to a point where, like, are we crossing the line? Are we crossing a boundary?
That's what I'm thinking, because
there's a number for men, right? There's a 0 and a 10. Like, you can be a 0, means you're very, very sensitive, and you can be a 10, which means you are very, very like narcissistic, hardcore, like you want to beat everybody up in the military type deal. So we know there's different numbers for men, and we have to understand that we all are different, and we have to express and understand those differences that come in different people. I mean, different people look different, and we like to make fun of people's differences, which gets us in trouble. And we need to respect that and understand that differences is what makes us America. It's what makes all these different inventions and things that come into the world that people are using today. So I just think that we need to kind of pump the brakes a little bit and respect that. I don't know if he's doing it to be funny or if that's just something that he does. I don't know. It doesn't really matter at this point. He's a crucial point of your team. And we don't know if that sort of thing happened and that's why he left. I don't know why he all of a sudden ran out of Minnesota. So you don't want to lose a good player if that's the case.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like, I don't know if this is just like that whole masculinity. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I'm just thinking like, are we leaning too much into like hey, this guy needs to be a man, or, like you said, it's okay to be flamboyant. It's okay to be, quote unquote, zesty. Like, it's okay to show character, but I feel like we're going a little bit too far with like, yes, so what? So he talks different. So he, expresses himself different. I just, I want it to be funny, but at the same time, like, we're being a little bit mean, and maybe I'm thinking I'm being very oversensitive, but I'm thinking like, hey, do you want this guy to be there next year? Because I think he came in a trade, but he hasn't signed an extension yet. So I'm like, he's still a good player. I mean, when he wants to be, during the series 1-on-1, he was unstoppable. So So I don't know. It's to me, it's kind of like, those are New York Knicks fans for you. The other thing, JT got the All NBA First Team Award. Are you surprised, or are you like, I mean, even before the playoffs, we knew he was a special player.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't satisfied with JT the previous year. I think I mentioned that during the regular season. I felt like he was kind of stepping back a little bit, and now I know why, because he didn't want to create another injury. He did really well this season. He deserved to be all NBA first team, but I kind of equated to Halliburton. I was kind of upset with Halliburton in, I believe it was game 5, where he didn't score the ball. I think he only scored 8 points. This is a guy who, used to like bug me, like almost like a Jason Kidd or Steve Nash, or like, you can hit that shot, like hit it, and Chris Paul does it sometimes as well. And they will just, and Rondo did it. I mean, they would just pass. Yes, you want to fool the defense. You want to think that you're going to shoot or pass, but you want to have more balance. I think he should have scored more points in that game 5. I mean, think about it. The Knicks only lost by 17 points. Halliburton, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 15 in that fourth quarter. So if he didn't score that 15 points, you're looking at a 2-point game. And we saw how, the game 5 was where it was at. And, they need his offense. He needs to make it a little bit more balance. And I felt the same way with JT. Like, I felt like he was passing the ball a little bit too much, and he wasn't being his aggressive self. And it's like a switch for him. Either he's passing too much or he's shooting too much. And I just think he needs to figure out that balance. Just pick his battles, whatever the case may be. JB seems like he has a good balance, but JT, I felt like last year and the year before that, he wasn't doing that.
Well, first of all, JT definitely deserves it, because there were some games this year where JB was either injured or took a break or was taking a night off, and JT had 30, 40 points easily. He just took over the game. I think that playing with JB alongside JB, he kind of does the Halliburton thing where he's like, no, you guys get your bread and I'll get mine in the third or fourth quarter, whatever it is. I think that has to shift a little bit when he comes back from the injury, where he just says, if you guys are not going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I think that, they talk about, the game coming to him. I'm not really subscribed to that theory. You don't let the game come to you. Take over the game. If you have it in the first quarter, just do it. Like, that balance between being a good teammate and being an all-star, it's a thin line, but I want to see more of that from JT. I want to see him take over games. We've seen it before. He can put 50 if he wants to. If he really, really wants to, he can put 50. Yes, it might take 30 shots, but he's going to do it. So, yeah, I think it's a well-deserved award. The other thing that I'm sure we're going to touch on is we got OKC versus Indiana, and OKC is heavy favorites in this series. Larry, is it just the betting odds, or is it just that the OKC is that good?
OKC is just that good. They're 29 and versus the East. They've been heads and tails above everyone in the NBA all year long, and they proved it in the playoffs by taking care of Denver, taking care of Minnesota, which I think Minnesota shouldn't have been in that spot. But
they definitely erased Memphis off the planet.
Yeah, Memphis was a disaster, and that just goes to show you, and OKC had some bad games, and some of the bad games they won. So it was just amazing what they can do. And, I already OKC beaten the Celtics in the original when we first started this off. And I hated saying that because I really wanted the Celtics to repeat. But there was something about the Celtics that just didn't look right. And we saw it exposed in the Knicks series. And I really thought it was going to be OKC in Cleveland. I'm not sure what happened with Cleveland, but OKC has not disappointed. They did their thing. With Indiana being a quick-paced team and OKC being a quick-paced team, we're looking at some high-scoring games. I think we only had one with the Knicks. I think it was that one that was like 135 to 136, something like that. I think we're going to have a lot of high-scoring games with these OKC and with the Pacers. So if you're gambling, you're going to bet on the overs because everyone's going to eat. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of shooting in this game. Both of them are capable of playing defense when they want to. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see when it comes up. But I do think Indiana can take a game because they just have that ability when everything's just clicking. And so I feel like it will be a gentleman's sweep. So there's 5 games and OKC should win it. And that's good for them because then they can win it on their home court.
Well, so I know we're jumping here, but you're taking OKC to win this matchup.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so before we get there, the conference finals, real quick. Did you ever think that Minnesota had a chance?
No, Minnesota did not have a chance. They're missing a lot of components to being a championship team. It's sad because they got to the Western Conference Finals twice now. And then they just dropped it right when they got there. The opponent each time was just more superior. So they got to figure something out.
Yeah, we both picked OKC because they were just... We knew that they're on a mission this year. With the New York Indiana series, we both picked New York. So what do you think went wrong overall?
It's the way the ball bounces. If that ball bounced out of that cylinder in game 1, we'd be looking at game 7 right now with New York and Indiana, and New York will probably end up taking that series. That ball bounced up, back into the net, brought the game in overtime, and New York still had a chance to win that game in overtime, but I don't know. I think Indiana just started feeling something and realizing something, and then it ended up just. They didn't need to win another game. That game 6 was a clincher for them, where normally that would have been just them tying it and bringing it to 7 games. So that game 1 was the key.
Yeah, not only game 1, but game 2, because I really thought that at home, the defense for New York would really come out with really like, hey, you're playing in my home turf. We're gonna shut you down, but that didn't happen. And then on the road, they actually played pretty decent defense, except for obviously game 6. But all the other games, they were, the defense kind of showed up, but it wasn't enough. And by that time, it was really too late. Of course, Towns didn't show up in game 6. He just took the night off. I don't know what happened, but I don't know.
Are you saying Tibbs was outcoached by Carzell?
Yes.
Wow.
Except for except there was one move that I really liked from the Knicks was that they started Mitchell instead of Hart. I thought that was a good move because they were saying, hey, we're going to get the rebounds. We're going to play defense, but it didn't work, obviously. But I like that. Everything else, Do you think that this team gets dismantled, the Knicks, or do you think that they just come back stronger?
I hope not. I hope not. I hope the Knicks can realize that they did an amazing job. I mean, they didn't make it to this round last year. They got eliminated by Indiana, I think, but that was in the semis. They're a much better team this year. They had a hard time fighting the elite teams. So I mean, they need to make some type of change, but don't make it a big change where you blow the team up. Getting Towns, that's a positive. We kept on saying who won the trade. Was it Towns or was it Minnesota or was it New York? And we were kind of basing it off who would go further, but they kind of ended off in the same round. I still feel like New York was the superior team over Minnesota. I feel like if New York went up against Minnesota, New York would win. So I say they won the trade. Obviously, Towns was a good pick. Brunson's a good pick. Don't touch those two. Don't touch Tips. But there's some other people on that team that you need to make some changes so you guys can get to the finals because they haven't won the chip since '73. Haven't been to the finals since I think '99.
So I wanna ask you a question. Mikal Bridges, do you keep him or trade him?
Bridges is a good fit for that team because, it's that Villanova blood, right? You got Hart, you got Bridges, you got Brunson. That may be good to keep the locker room the way it is. I would keep him, but I would tell him, hey, you can only do fadeaways. That's the only shot you can make.
Yeah, I mean, you have a number one and number two scorer on the team. Do you need a number three? Because I feel like Mikal Bridges is not that dude. He's not gonna put up points.
He had a big game during I think it was the Christmas game. We scored like maybe 30 plus points or something like that. He's very inconsistent, and you don't know what you're going to get from him. There's another player like that. I can't remember what his name is, but I think he plays on a totally different team, and he does the same thing and drives me crazy, where you never know what you're going to get from him. He can turn it on or turn it off, and Bridges is the same way. And I think that he has to know his role. I mean, I would cut his minutes down, and I would put him in there when Brunson is out and say, hey, this is your job. Shoot fadeaways, and that's it. Definitely I would have him come off the bench and just be that scorer and let him know that's his role and just have him practice that shot that he does so well, and that'd be it. But if you want to get rid of him. Who are you going to replace him with?
I don't know. I don't even know if they have draft picks. I know that they traded for him. They took him from the Suns, and I think there was some draft picks there. All right. So let's get into the finals preview, because you touched on a little bit that these games are going to be definitely going the over, but you have OKC in 5.
Yeah, I just feel like the ball is going to bounce the right way like it does for Indiana. So many times you saw them against Milwaukee, against Cleveland, against where they're kind of out of the game and they keep fighting and they come back. I feel like that's what's going to happen. They play OKC. OKC is known for doing that as well, but I feel like there's going to be one game where they can actually win and do a good job. But I feel like it's by the time they do win that game, their spirits are already going to be crushed. I feel like OKC is probably going to win the first 2 at home. And it's probably going to be a game 3 or game 4 where Indiana wins. And by then, it's kind of like all she wrote at that point. I don't think it's going to really help them get any motivation or inspiration if they can beat OKC.
Larry, I know that OKC is heavy favorites. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to pick the underdog. I'm going to go with Indiana in 6 games. And I think that the first 2 games, it's going to be monumental. They have to, I don't think that they have to get a split, but going down 0-2 to this OKC team would not be good. I like Indiana's offense when it gets going. I like how Halliburton is playing right now. I think he had 0 turnovers. I think first of all, he only had 10 turnovers overall. The whole 6 games. I think that if you continue to have the ball in his hands, the Indiana is going to be okay. However, I don't like that Carlisle goes so deep into his bench. I feel like every time there's 10 players that he uses all the time, and I don't know if that's a recipe for disaster or if it's going to work against OKC. What do you think is the best strategy for Indiana?
They got to outscore them. They got to outscore it. There's only two teams where that can run into a problem. That's OKC and the Boston Celtics. Those are teams that can put up points. They have a lot of people that can score. Any other team Indiana does that with, they can run them out at the gym. And so luckily they ain't got to worry about Boston because New York took care of them. OKC, unfortunately, is there. They're rested. They're ready. And it's going to be an issue. Again, we're going to have some higher scoring games. And you're going to see the death of because I think I told you that bench is most important. And OKC has a really good bench.
Really good bench.
And that really show something. Indiana needs to work on their bench. They have some guys that can hit some shots, but it's not at OKC's level. So I think that's where it's going to show. Where you're going to see coaching as well, because you're going to see them not using those 8 guys that we're used to. They're going to go real deep. They may use 11 guys and just run these guys out the gym, and that way the other guys can get rested.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting, because you got OKC, who is probably the best defensive team left, against Indiana, who's loves to run the clock, take a shot. They're like the Phoenix Suns when they did 2.0, right? When it was like D'Antoni
they can press really good. They pressed in Game 6. We saw that result. I just don't think they are going to press in Game 1 or Game 2, and that's going to let OKC run up and down the ball, and missed shots are going to be huge because you miss a shot, the other team's going to run down.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I can't wait. I know that already people are saying that this is going to be the lowest rating finals ever. But to be honest, I don't care. That's the NBA's issue. I'm just glad that the 2 best teams are left. Because if something shady would have happened with the Knicks, all the conspiracy theories out there about the refs, about the NBA, about having a big market team on the finals. No, these are 2 small market teams.
Oh yeah. If it was Lakers and Knicks or Lakers and Boston, the conspiracy theorists would definitely have said, "Hey, why are these small market teams not getting a shot?" So I'm glad that OKC and Indiana are getting a shot in the spotlight. They are the best 2 teams left, I think, and then they can just play their games, play their 5 games, and then we can be on to the draft.
Yeah, so just to review one more time, you have OKC in 5. I went with the underdogs, Indiana, in 6. We will see when they start the game on Thursday. Larry, I want to end the podcast with this question. Will JB and JT be together? Not next year. I don't know if next year or the year after when JT comes back. So what's your prediction right
now? I wasn't happy when the Celtics didn't really make any changes. Yes, we won the championship. Every other team made changes. We didn't. And you saw what happened. We got close, but and we need to really focus on our bench. That was the thing that really affected us overall. We didn't have the bench to trust. And if you had a good bench, you could have rested your starters, and we could have went the whole year without playing our starters back to back, which JT would have needed, because you saw, he wasn't able to rest, and that's how he got his injury, because he's so stubborn anyway. So I just think that we need to foster that bench. When you look at our bench players, we have some really good big men. We might have to give up a big man just so we can get like the player that we had. We had a really good player in the beginning of the year, and we didn't go with him. I still don't understand that part. We need to have a scorer, someone who can score the ball, someone other than Pritchard, so the pressure's not all on Pritchard. who can score the ball off the bench and trust that. And I think that would be the first move. And that could be somebody like a Mikal Bridges. That could be somebody that's actually starting right now. Bring them on and let's go. The biggest issue is the salary cap. We're not going to be able to keep everybody. So we are going to lose some players. And, people are saying Holiday. People are saying, JB. We don't know what's going to happen. We have new ownership now. It's going to be a change. But if you look at the numbers, there's no way that keep that salary and knowing that they only got out of the second, that they didn't get out the second round. No. Mm-hmm. Without JT for maybe half the year.
Yeah. There's 3 guys on the team that I feel that are untouchable: JT, JB, and Derek White. Everyone else, even Pritchard. If you can get like 2 bench players for Pritchard, do it. Because right now his value is off the roof. Just won 6 Man of the Year. His value is off the roof. I love Pritchard, but he's a defensive liability. Yes, he's 100% a scorer. But everyone is on the table. And I know that, like you said, they have new ownership. They don't want to pay the luxury tax because for some reason, it's like a second level. They're in like the second level. They're in luxury tax hell, basically. So you do what you got to do. This is still a business. So I understand, but in my heart, I don't want to see them split up. That's in my heart, but I know that the money is totally different, so that's going to happen. But yeah, I think that Brad Stevens is going to have a plan for all this. I completely trust in what happens, but whatever the plan is, I don't want to see them split up, and I don't want to touch Derek White only because, I don't think he has had a real injury in his whole NBA career.
Right.
I know there was a couple of nights where he took some rest, but, don't trade this dude. This guy is, I like his basketball IQ. And I know Drew Holiday, he came for a couple of years. We got the championship. I think he's expendable, to be honest with you. And
I feel like we're going to lose 3 key players and only get 1 key player back. And we're going to lose like Holiday. We're going to lose someone like KP. And the third person is probably going to be in JB. We're going to lose 3 players and we'll get like 1 key player back. That player could end up being like a Durant or something like that. But there's no way we can keep all 3 and also keep JT and White. It's impossible. I hope it's not too much of a hit, but we lost people like Mark. We even lost Al Horford at one point, and it's made our team better. So it's just going to be one of those years where we're going to have to lose, 3 people for 1 person because of the salary cap and because of, it's what they want. Of course, people are going to want White and JT, but like you said, those are probably untouchable at this point. But I really feel like JB may end up leaving and maybe go to Houston.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends because I really, what I don't want to see is them having a wholesale where they just completely tank next year. I want to at least a little bit of competitive. I just don't, it's so easy to get into playoffs now with this playing games. I
can see KP reuniting with Luka. They played in Dallas together. It didn't work out the way that everyone thought it, but you got LeBron now, so maybe it may end up better. I mean, we know Lakers need a center. So I think that may happen. I don't know where Holiday would go. I can't see. I mean, anyone can take a defensive point guard at this point. Maybe he goes to New York. I don't know. And then Brunson plays shooting guard. I don't know. And then JB, I feel like he could go to San Antonio, go to Houston. There's a lot of people who would take JB in a heartbeat.
These.
What do we get in return? If we get somebody like just Bridges for that would be horrible. But it's going to really be tough on Jay Tatum because Tatum's going to be coming back from injury. He's not going to be full strength for a while. So I I feel like we're going to be one and done, like we were in '08, where it's going to take us a while to rebuild what we did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna, we're talking about almost 60 years before they even touched the conference finals, right? We're talking about 2015, 2016. That was almost 7 years. So yeah, I don't know if it's gonna take that long because we really lost all the big threes after the 08, 09 season, or 10, excuse me. So yeah. So next episode is going to be episode 26, the year-end episode. Hopefully by then we know who the winner is, the finals, what I'm talking about, and then we'll touch a little bit on the draft, and we'll talk about who do we think is going to get the number one pick. So Larry, thank you for joining once again. Happy birthday, happy belated birthday. And we'll talk on the next episode.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Chasing C Notes.
Hi, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode, Chasing C Notes podcast. If you have any concerns or questions, feel free to email us at simsportsmedia@gmail.com. And please subscribe to this channel, this page, whatever it is, platform that you listen. Peace.